Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In previous session we have designed this employee details form and we fetched the data from the database and we are binding into the form. In today's session we are going to perform how to create new employee when they click on this button. Before continuing with this session, please watch my previous session how to create employee model and how to migrate the database scripts by using entity framework. Everything we explained in the previous session. Before continuing with this session, I would request you all, please subscribe to my channel and click on bell icon for notification alerts. Open the employee controller. Here we are going to create one action method for create. Right click on this action method, click on add view. I am going to create empty view here. I'll name it as create for this view. Here we will design the form by using the employee view model. This is our employee view model. We have to add the reference here. Employee view model. Here we will add the title for our form. I will give the title as create employee, and here I will create one h3 tag to display our title in our form. After title we will add one horizontal row to separate the title and our form. Here we will create form and action will be create. We are going to create another action to post the data. For that I am giving action name as create and method will be post. Here I am going to create one div. I will add margin bottom 3 and I am going to create label. Class I will add as form label and this will be our first name. Then we have to add input type here. It will be text. Class I am going to add form control. ASP4, here we are going to get the first name from our employee view model. Here we are going to add span for validation message. We are going to display validation messages in the span for first name, and class we can add it, say danger. So we will copy the same div and we can reuse it here. After first name we need last name. Then we need date of birth here. This type will be date. We are going to display calendar inside this text box. Then we need email. Finally, we need salary. This will be text. For this salary text box, we will add one dollar symbol. For that, I'll create separate div and I'll make it as input group. Inside this input group, I'm going to add span to display dollar class. It's input group text. Here I will add dollar, and we will move this text box inside this div. So now this dollar will be displayed in front of the salary. Finally, we will create one more div for button. I'll make it class as say grid. Here we are going to display our submit button. Type will be submit. The class we can add here btn primary. Text will be submit. We'll run the application and we'll see the output. Click on create employee button. So our form is displaying as per our expectation. Here we have to change this email should be text. Here I am making as text this one. Add one nav item for the employee data so that we no need to add address manually every time. Go to the shared folder, open our layout. Here I am going to copy one nav item. So this will be employee controller and the action will be index and the text will be employee data. So click on the employee data nav item. It should redirect to index page. Click on create employee button. So whenever we click this calendar, so that we can see our calendar. So now we will write the action method for post the data into the database. For that we will go to our controller. Here we will create post method to submit the data into our database. For that I am going to create one post method. Here in our create view model we are using employee view model, so it will post the data as employee view model. So here we have to get the data as employee view model. We'll make it as employee data variable here. So before submitting the data we have to validate if model state is valid or not. For that is valid, then we have to save the data, else we have to display the error to user. Here we are receiving data from the employee view model. So to communicate with the database we have created one employee DB context and the employee model. So we have to assign the data to employee model. For that where employee, say new employee, create one object. Here I will assign the employee view model data to our employee class, so that this will communicate with the database and it will insert into our SQL Server. Here I will read first name from our employee data, then last name, date of birth, then email, salary, here we have to call our context dot employees dot add. So whatever the data we are getting from the view, we have to assign here employee, then context dot save changes. So this will save the changes to our database, and here if there is any error, we have to display that message to user. For that I am going to save in temp data. If model is not valid, you have to display as error message. Here we have to display the message as model data is not valid. So you can change error message as per your requirement, and if it is success, then we can pass the success message here. I'll make it as success employee created successfully. So like this we will display the message. Finally we have to redirect to our index action method. Redirect to action. We are going to redirect to our index view. If model is not valid, we have to return again to the same view. Also, if there is any unhandled exceptions are there, we have to catch that. For that, select entire code, right click, go to the snippet, surround with, try catch. So here if there is any exception, we have to handle that also. So this will be error message. I'm copying here. We have to read exception message like this. So this will return to our create view again. Now whenever employee is created successfully, or if there is any model state errors are there, or if there is any unhandled exceptions are there, we are storing messages in the, if there is any error, then we are displaying as temp data error message. If it is data saved successfully, we are storing in the temp data, that is success message. So we have to display these messages in index. If there is any error, we have to display in the create. For that we will create one bootstrap model. Whenever there is a success message, this we have to display inside our index view, and if there is any error, we are going to display in the create view. For that we have to create one model alert for index. So I am going to read that temp data which is passing from the controller success message. Here we are going to read success message first. If it is not null, then we have to convert into the string. So we are going to validate string message. Also here we are going to add error message also. First we will check if string is not empty or not null, then we have to display the message. Here I will create one div. It will be success alert. Here I am going to add message like, here we can add our success message, and also here we have to add one button to close our message. It will be button. Class I am adding as btn close, and it will be displayed in the right end. This will be need to dismiss as alert. Same thing we have to make it for our error message also. Here we no need to add @ because this is continuation of the if statement. If there is any error message also, we are going to display as error. It will be danger. So this message we are going to add in our create also. Whenever that model is not valid, we are going to display the message in create view. For that we have to copy this error message. I am going to read it here. If it is not null or empty, then we are going to display the error. For that, run the application. Here we are keeping one debug point to validate the data. So without entering any data, we are trying to submit the form. It's coming into our controller. Its model state is invalid. It's showing as false. Then it will be added this error message. Again it's going to create view. So it is showing the message as we expected, and this close button should be moved to top. For that we'll do alignment, like we have to move this button inside our div. Now we'll see F5. Yeah, it is showing correctly, so we can close this. Also we are going to add one more condition, like, so whenever the message is displayed here, any error message or success message, it should close automatically. For that also we are going to implement one small JavaScript function, so that automatically it will be closed whatever the timeline we are specifying in that custom JavaScript. Now manually also user can close here. We will add that custom JavaScript to our model. For that, go to the www root, go to JS. Here we are going to create one custom JavaScript. Right click on the JS, add new item, select the JavaScript, and here I am making as custom JS. Here I am going to set timeout for our alert. Set timeout. Here I am going to create one function. Here I am going to add for alert only, this will work. Alert. Here we have to close. For this, here we can set timeout. it will be milliseconds. I am adding as 5000, so that it will be 5 seconds I am adding. After 5 seconds our alert should close automatically. And this custom JS we have to add inside our layout to call in our all the pages wherever we are going to use the alert. So here just drag and drop your custom JavaScript file and run the application again. So without adding any data, try to submit. So model data is not valid. It should close automatically after 5 seconds, whatever this timeline we are. So it's working perfectly. Again we will try it once again, submit. So our alert is showing here, it should close after 5 seconds. It's closed. So now we will enter any data. So here user can enter the date of birth manually. Also user can select the date of birth from the calendar like this. Click on submit. Employee created successfully. We will go to our database and we will check that. So currently we have 17 records here. Execute. So this is the latest record which is having ID 18. So it's working perfectly. Also here we have to add one client side validation for this, because currently whenever we are submitting, it's going to our server and it's validating from the server side. For that we have to add client side validation. Currently our validations are working from the server side. We have not implemented the client side validation. We are going to implement client side validations also in this form. So first we'll check whether it's working server side validation or not. Click on submit. It's hitting our server, and after that only it's showing the validations. Click on continue. See, so after hitting the server only these validations are working. So when you are using server side validations, our performance will be slow. For that we are going to implement client side validations. We'll see how to implement the client side validations in the create employee form. Close the application. So go to the create form. Here we are going to add our section. We are going to add scripts. This will be section. Here we are going to call our validation script, that is await html dot render partial async. Here we have to pass our validation file, that is go to the views, shared. So in this partial page only we are calling our JavaScript validation files. So this we have to render inside our form wherever we are doing like insert or update, so that client side validation will be implemented. Now we have added the client side validation logic. We'll go to the employee controller again. We'll keep debug point here. We'll run the application. We'll see whether client side validation is working or not. Click on submit. See, it's not hitting our server. Without entering into the server, these client side validations are working. Also whenever you are entering any text, automatically that error will be removed here. So if you remove all the text, again the client side validations are working as per the expectations. Here in our create form, whatever the data we are previously entered, those data are showing. We can disable this by adding autocomplete as false here in the create form. In the create view, I'll make it as autocomplete off so that the text will not be displayed. Once again, also here we have to move this button inside the div in index view also. Just remove this button from outside of the div and make it inside the div. Run the application. So we'll remove the debugger. We'll try to create another employee here. See, all the autocomplete text is removed from our form. I'll make it as test employee. Submit. So it's redirected to our index view and the message is showing, and automatically it is closed after 5 seconds. So that's it for today. Like this, we can insert the data into SQL Server by using entity framework, and next session we are going to discuss about how to perform update and delete operations in Asp.NET Core MVC by using entity framework. Thanks for watching my video.